Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Coffee Corner. Today is your episode 109 or 110. 110. I'm not sure. I'll double check. Anyway, welcome back. In last video, I was talking about my learning journey. I've got a lot of comments and thank you so much for sharing your own journey, but also I'm very happy that my little story kind of inspired you a little bit. I just want to say that learning is not easy because this is something that you have to do forever. It's not one and done kind of thing, right? So it's not, for example, myself, it's not like I have English, I stop and I'll have that forever. No, it will all go back. So that's why I feel like it was really good to share everything with you guys, and I also feel a little bit of resonation there. Anyway, so this episode I do want to talk about a different experience. I think that might be helpful since graduating season incoming soon. I hope this can inspire you or help you a little bit to get through some sort of anxiety there. So I'm going to talk about my work experience. Work experience sounds like a resume, mainly into three parts. The first part will be before I came to Canada. Second part will be during my study here. What did I do? And last part will be after that, how I started my career and how I got my job. So I'm trying to keep everything simple, short, so you don't have to put up with me for too long. So first, the part before I came to Canada, I actually never thought about I would have a chance to come here. But anyway, I didn't get a job right after my school. My mom told me to take a year off to really prepare for a graduate program. So I was studying really hard, yet nothing happened to me. And I felt, of course, very disappointed just because you put a time and effort there, but there's nothing, and you just all of a sudden felt like that was a failure, or you are the failure, right? Anyway, so I got this job. I applied for this position from university, and they were doing translation and communication between universities in other countries. So I liked the job because it was very challenging and also encouraged me to learn more. This is one of the things or factors when I think about getting a job, whether this job is worth it or not. This job can be crappy, okay, you maybe it doesn't pay well, or the whole vibe at work is just so toxic or something like that. But if you can get the position that make you learn or make you want to learn, that is a good sign when you can't get out of that black hole. Okay, that's the thing. So I learned a lot, and I realized that how bad my English was, but I kept learning, writing, reading. I kept learning, listening and speaking. I really practiced a lot to the point that I actually beat a girl graduated from a UK university, and I was an interpreter for a representative, and I think a delegation representative from New York University or University of New York State or something like that. And then that was the first time I was able to speak in front of everybody. And then I still remember the dean of the engineering department there said, "Wow, your English was really good. I'm so impressed." Da, 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 da. We exchanged information. And funny enough, when I was applying for my school here, I actually emailed him for a reference, and he agreed to do that, considering that we only knew each other for a very short time, right? So I was very happy. But that job helped me with my English and helped me realize sometimes English is really a tool, but to be able to use a tool efficiently, you have to put a lot of effort other than focusing on some techniques. So what do I mean by techniques? Means that sometimes you just have to give up grammar, give up accent, those kind of things. You need to focus on how you can express yourself, or to be more specific, how you can communicate your ideas with other people effectively. They understand you, you understand them. There's no misunderstanding, no mistakes. So that's all you need. But other than that, you are not a teacher, you're not doing something like, let's say translation, things like that. Then at that moment, grammar, accent are not that important. But when it comes to writing, let's say I was writing a lot of personal statements there. I've learned a lot of grammar, then I realized how shitty my grammar was. But I learned, and that helped me with the potential future opportunities. So when the opportunity came up to me to study in another country, I finally was able to just say, fuck it, I don't like you guys, I want to go. It was very toxic. My boss she was very jealous. So she has a relatively weaker degree, and she didn't like when other people were stronger than her. So I was kind of on the way to be promoted, and she didn't like that. She occasionally sabotaged me with other coworkers, which I helped when she first got in this company. Anyway, the whole story, I didn't like it, but my tip at that moment was to just heads down, do your work, do not make any mistakes, and wait until you have an opportunity, and then you can get rid of them. So that was my tip for my first job ever. So I came here, which was the second part. I came to Canada. I first, if you watched the previous video, you probably know the story that I didn't get into the program and I wanted, and I ended up taking an ESL course, which I really appreciated. Sometimes you just have to keep yourself occupied. Okay, so I was learning English and of course taking the TESOL courses like TESOL course 1, TESOL course 2. I think first of all I wanted to maintain my study permit to stay here, and also I was thinking like if I do this, would those 2 courses help me get into a master program in applied linguistics? And yeah, and then you know what, it really helped and I've learned a lot. However, the timing was really wrong. I always said this. I think I wrote the reflection on the book Yellowface. I said timing was always wrong. This is why sometimes I'm jealous of my peers or the one who are catching up. Is I feel like everything happens to me all at the wrong timing. That causes a lot of a waste of time. I was applying for the program and didn't get anything there, and back then I was desperate. My choice is continue with the other things or go back to China. But I feel like I really like this whole environment here, so I wanted to learn more. Overall, if you think I came here all the way for that time, I only studied English, which is a shame. Even though I had my TESOL certificate and a diploma, I still felt like it was a shame to not really get to know the whole higher education system. So I decided to apply for college to study HR management. That has nothing to do with the teaching. But here's the thing. Sometimes things seem a little bit irrelevant, but they all help. So I don't know why I picked HR management there. I think it was a 1 year, it was cheaper, and I got there. I was the only Chinese. I learned really hard there to interact with other people, but also I learned interview skills, and I interview people interview me, recruitment skills, and other skills that help me later on with my interviews and other things, and especially communication. So I was very happy, but I didn't finish that because I got an offer from my school with a scholarship, ironically, right? Because I applied for that school twice and got no twice. And then the third time, not only they gave me offer, they also offered me a scholarship. Anyway, so while I was doing school, but you have to remember, I was not from a rich family. I am still not from a rich family. I didn't have money, so I had to do a lot of tutoring. When I was doing tutoring, meantime, I was working at a restaurant. That was my very first job in Canada. It was a Chinese restaurant in downtown. I don't even remember how I found the job. But if you think about, is that stereotype for international students? You go to another country and become a dishwasher or server at the restaurants, right? So anyway, I was happy that I got that job because I really need the money. So because I was not good looking, according to the owner, I was not good looking, so I got sent to the kitchen. I was doing the peeling potatoes, chopping garlics, doing this, and when you have to work at a place with the potential hazards, you need to be trained to do things. You need to know the health safety stuff there. No training, nothing. So I got sent there, started to do my thing. I chopped my finger a little bit by chopping the potato. They have to chop it into different shapes, like a wavy shape thing. Employees were amazing. They were sweet. They were very, very caring. They saw that. And I remember I just chopped peppers before that, and then I chopped the potato. So the spiciness and everything, it hurt so bad. I got tears. And then my owner came to see what was going on, and then immediately called me idiot. Like, how did you cut your finger? And I started to swear and this, that. I couldn't believe it. And then I got demoted. I got demoted to wash all the dishes. And here's the funny thing. And this is why I think I started to pick up some exercise, is I wash so much dish there, so much. There's heavy bowls and plates. You have to lift them, put them down, lift them, put them up. I got muscles on my arms and all the beautiful lines and muscles on my arms. And one day I went to a Christmas party held by my school, and I went there. And I said, holy cow, what kind of workout are you doing? And like, I look at your muscles. I realized even if it was just washing dishes, I can at least get something from it. Muscles, right? So I was quite happy about it, not happy about dishes. But this is how much I hated the job. In my dreams, it was always endless dishes, right? So that's how much I hated that. Anyway, so I still remember I was frying some mushrooms there, and because I was slow, so the owner actually came in and bumped me out, like pushed me hard, and I almost fell over the stove with like a flare of fire. I'm like, are you crazy? I could get injured and you could get sued. And what are you thinking about? Like, people are sometimes just really dumb. Anyway, so I didn't like that. But she kept promising me what potential I could have in the future if I really listen or follow her. That I will become a manager. Here, sure. So here is why it is important. You need to know what you don't want, what you want, or either way, or either one. I know I don't want that part. I don't want to deal with those restaurant stuff. That's totally not even on my list. So I said, well, thank you. Even though you hated her too much, to the point you just feel like maybe everything should explode, But you can't do anything. You're still working there. You're still making money. If the money is so needed at that moment, don't do anything stupid. I know it's not good for your mental health because you're trying to suppress your anger, but listen, you gotta heads down and do your thing and get through that period and wait for the perfect opportunity, perfect timing to say, fuck it, I'm leaving. So that was my moment. I found this tutoring job, and then I was tutoring Chinese and English. I actually find tutoring Chinese more difficult anyway. So I was doing that. I was very happy, but of course I got a couple of condescending comments that they don't want to pay too much because I'm not a native speaker in an English country. So that's why they want to give me less than what I deserve. I said, well, it's really up to you, right? But back then I needed this opportunity. I said, whatever. And then I took it. I still remember it was $15 an hour. But it was more than what I got paid from the restaurant. Anyway, so got that part done, and then I went back to my language school and I asked if they want volunteers because I didn't have Canadian work experience. So I needed that so bad that I went back to ask them. I am a very introverted person. It would kill me to ask people like that. But I had no choice. So I went back and asked. They said, sure. So I was really volunteering, taking students for tour and taking care of students' kids there, which I really don't like kids. But I did everything I could to get a chance to stay, to get a chance to move forward even a little bit. Luckily enough that I worked really hard. I showed my dedication. I showed my effort. So the director asked me if I want to come here and work as administrative assistant. In short, the guy who says hello to everybody. Okay. I said, sure, yes, why not? Because I got paid slightly better. Okay. Back then, I think it's a $15.50 something, just above minimum wage. So I got the job. I was very happy. I had finally a place to stay, and I was working very hard. But again, because I was part-time temporary, and sometimes you have hours, sometimes you don't, and it was very, what is the word? It makes me anxious all the time because I'm always worried, right? And anyway, so I had everything sorted out back then with my tutoring, with my volunteer here. I also volunteered at the college as a conversation circle facilitator. Yes. So you were helping students organizing the English conversation circle. Liked that, something different, something very different. And I still remember the guy who interviewed me saying, "Why do you talk with your hands?" I said, "Well, my hands help me think. So that's why I talk with my hands." Anyway, then I started to have more hours at the language school, but I was still just shredding paper, saying hi, and inputting students' results, sorts of things, doing printings. And the funny thing is, you sometimes have arrogant people, doesn't matter what kind of color your skin is. They will come to me saying, "Well, oh, you're Chinese, so of course you're at the bottom, right? You can't be teacher because other Chinese here are at the bottom." So sure. Then you work your way up, but you never wasted any time, even though you were doing any meaningless work there. Use your time wisely. So when I was shredding paper, I just put my earphones on and listened to podcasts. Or that's when I started to get into podcasts, and I realized I can learn speaking really well from listening. And when I was shredding paper, when I was sitting on the desk to do paperwork, sometimes I have to do some a little bit of accounting stuff. I learned a lot of things. I never mind when they told me to do something extra that I have to learn. Because for me, it's another opportunity to learn something different. So I liked it. I didn't get paid extra, but I feel like I'm learning knowledge that might be helpful in the future. So while I was doing school, full-time school, sometimes I have night classes too. Right after school, I would go to volunteer there and then do tutoring job. And back then, I still had a little bit of restaurant work to do. So that was 3 jobs back then. And then once I had more hours from the language school, I quit my restaurant job, of course. But I feel like dealing with the difficult people is such a difficult skill to have, yet you learn that in a difficult way. So I think I learned that from working at the restaurant. I think sometimes it's hard for you to encounter things or encounter people that are not very pleasant, but eventually you learn how to deal with it because your goal is to get things done. Your goal is not to have a fight. If you want to vent out all your emotions, there's a better way to do it, but definitely not to take your anger out on somebody, which will cause really ineffective communication. So that is my opinion. So my school started to get really busy, and I kind of have to give up the tutoring job and then just focus on volunteer because, well, I know I need the money, but volunteer is more important because that experience will help me get another job that I really want. So I had to pick. It was not easy to make a decision like that, but I'm glad I did a good job on that one. It took me a while. So once my school, all the courses were finished in the first year, then you're on your own to do your thesis, right? So I have more time, and because I did really well and my English had gone really better, and then the director asked me if I wanted to cover for some of the teachers who are sick sometimes, so I was on the supply. I said yes. And then one of my friends at work, she used to be in charge of the TESOL program, and then she quit, went to a school board, and then she came back and asked me if I want to get a job there. I said, of course, are you kidding me? Of course I wanted there. But she said you have to wait because it was super competitive. And this Chinese guy in a language school where I was working back then, he was toxic. His management skills totally reminded me of the workplace I used to be in China, and I feel like I cannot deal with this. If I'm dealing with this guy, why am I here? Then I want to go back home with my parents, right? So I was like, no, I don't like this, and I was desperate for an offer from the school board, but I had to volunteer there first because what she said is you have to get in get in touch with people first, and then you can, people know your name, and then they can refer you, they will talk about you. People talk when you volunteer. It's actually your interview for this job. Internship too, right? It's an interview for this job. They want to see if you have potential. Sometimes people just want to use you because you're free, but sometimes they want to see if you're a good fit here. Can you do a lot for a little money, right? And then they want you. But if this is a job what you want, and then you're gonna have to sacrifice a little bit, right? So anyway, I gradually moved from this language school to the other one. I was working there for a very long time, and then they didn't give me the full-time teaching job. They gave the full-time teaching job to a native speaker there. This is a downfall working for a private language company, because they cannot tell you that they don't want non-native speakers, but they can implicitly indicate that native speakers are more preferred, right? So anyway, so I was very mad at that moment. I feel like I've done amazing job. Students loved me. It's not like the students don't like me. Students loved me. The only reason was, sometimes you might have accent, and that's when I really worked on my accent reduction. So that helped, and then gradually, of course, moved on to that job, and then they offered me a part-time long-term assignment. I was very happy. And when I told my boss that I don't need to take off my daytime job, I just need, at 3 I need to leave right away. I can't just hang around. She said to me, I thought she was nice to me, but I was very upset when she said this. And then she said, "Oh, they offered a job to you?" And in that tone, I realized they never thought I was able to do things. Anyway, that made me decide to leave that company. Even though I really love the whole vibe of working there, I just can't deal with this. I need to think for myself first. So I said, well, I think they like me, they see the potential, and that's why they offered me the job. And then she couldn't believe it, and she kept saying that, they hire anyone they want. They don't care about who you are, and it's temporary. You're never gonna get in a permanent position. I know it's difficult, but I was just shocked when she said it to me. So anyway, and with the volunteer job, with the dedication, with all the traveling, hassle, everything, I finally got in a permanent position very fast, to the point people couldn't believe it. And really, I wanted to say, what the fuck? And my PR was on the way, probably like 3 months behind the hiring. And then they said, we can't hire you when you are on a work permit. I said, wow, my PR is coming. They said, no. And then I even argued to say, if you hire me now, I can show you my PR in 3 months. How about that? No. So they took my permanent position, and I was working part-time. I was so mad. But anyway, for a while, of course, you're in temporary, part-time, full-time, doesn't matter. Your hours are not guaranteed. Your job is not guaranteed. Then COVID hit, right? And that was it. They said, we don't need that many teachers. But here is another opportunity. And that started my 3rd chapter, opportunity working at a different school. So that school was YMCA. Oh my goodness, I hated that. That really had brought my anxiety back to real life really hard. And I realized I have anxiety because of working there, and I had intention to hurt myself, those kind of things. I really didn't like it. But working YMCA had taught me a lot. Has taught me how to deal with a large number of students, had taught me how to deal with the difficult situations, and they gave me a lot of opportunities to learn how to plan things wisely and carefully, all sorts of things. So when I came back for my permanent position, full-time interview, I was strong. I was very strong. I ranked the number 1 during the interview among all the people. And this is funny enough, right? And then they took the top 5, and then realized they didn't have much funding that year. They could only take 2. And because I was number 1, so I didn't have the issue. So that's how I got the job. Okay. I'm very lucky. I'm very happy. But what I want to say for everybody is, if you are graduating, you're looking for a job, or you have a job right now, you don't like it, think about what you really want. Okay, don't complain about the things that's not going to change anything, any situation right now. Think about what you can really learn out of this crappy situation, and think about how you can make the best use out of it, and then wait for the perfect timing. If you are just like me, we're average people, we're ordinary people, we don't have any extra support, then don't just quit. You have to quit wisely. Quitting feels so good, but then afterwards, what are you going to do? So think wisely. If you're looking for a job, you have to realize the reality is it is very difficult to land a dream job, a perfect job at one shot. It might take you a few tries, but that is okay. And I understand some cultures that age is such a pressure when it comes to looking for a job. But also think about, if you're good, you're really good, to the point that people can't talk about your age. Try to be like that. And I think you will be good. I think you'll be good. Anyway, so share your experience, share your opinion with me, and let me know if there's anything I can help you with.